and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of the streaming platforms, public access channels, the Kitty Rose lifestyle, or the program underwriters.
Tim's on my feet, stomping out the negativity. Everybody not a friend of me. Spread the love, still I move deliberately. Bully face on, but the smile be heavenly. Brooklyn girls, so they love the energy, love sincerity. So I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically. Through hallways.
Definitely.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the next chapter where we discuss shades of gray. I am your host, Minister Cat, aka Kitty Rose, and I'm so glad to see you guys back here again this week. I hope you enjoyed the last week's show where we were doing our grant series, town hall, congregation, church type of setting, of where we had adult children and parents come together and engage. Wasn't it something? I tell you, I know that I don't know if I learned anything, but I definitely felt like it needed a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4. So I'm so looking forward to that. But today, I have a special edition. Yes. So before I tell you what this week's topic of the week and why this is a special edition of the next chapter where we discuss shades of gray, is I'm going to give you the setup first. I know normally I tell you the topic of the week and then I give you the setup. Matter of fact, let's just stick to the way that I do the show. This topic of the week this week is, drum roll, my own version, blah, is parenting as divorced parents. Dun dun dun. So, if I'm going to have a topic about parenting as divorced parents, then I must have on the show my husband. Yes, my husband. Yes. Let's welcome author Booker Geez to the next chapter, everyone. Yay!
It's a pleasure to be here.
He said, why I gotta say his name like that? My husband, y'all know I call him that. I don't know if he knows I call him that.
Is that a compliment or an insult? What
it's
is that?
not an insult, because you was my husband.
You made that up?
No, Chick told me that.
Oh, word? Okay.
Yeah, Chick told me that.
Right.
So welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want to give you guys the setup, right? So we're going to turn the camera back on me, and then we'll come back to Booker Geez. So a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated our daughter's college graduation. And while we were celebrating our daughter's graduation, we were at dinner. And at dinner, we were sitting next to each other, cool, calm, and collective. And when it was time for us as parents to give a toast, everybody in the room, including my daughter's work family, was like shocked, like, oh my goodness, they're getting along. Oh my goodness, they're sitting next to each other. And I was sad about that, but it made me think about, you know, it made me happy, one, that my daughter had such a support system of people that could support her as she was going through whatever she was going through when we were going through our stuff. But it also made me sad about the impact of how children are affected when parents go through a divorce. So once again, I wanted to, you know, bring my husband on because we are in such a place right now that we are getting along, and, you know, we're thriving and our children are successful. We share 2 children together, and as of now, both of our children are college graduates, you know. All right, go us, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And, you know, not only are they college graduates, like that's the be all to end all, because it's not, but the fact that they made these decisions on their own and then had the support of us to help them achieve these things. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think that's definitely a testament to us.
Absolutely.
So let's you know, it's just water, but why not? Amen. Yes. So before we go into our conversation, which is going to be an organic flow,
True.
I like to like start off sometimes with a video just to kind of like jumpstart the conversation.
Okay.
So I pulled this video from, where did I get this video from? Voice of the Child of Divorce. The Child of Divorce. And I thought it was interesting, but there was a story that I'm going to show before that was kind of like what children go through when they're going between the two homes, and then we're going to go into this second video about it's actually like a love letter that a child is writing to his parents about what he's feeling during this time. Okay. So let's check it out.
All right.
Mother, I'm coming home. I'll follow you into the park, through the jungle, through the dark. God, I never loved one like you. Boats and waterfalls, alleyways and payphone calls. I'll be here never with you.
Dear Mom and Dad, I know that you are hurting. I'm hurting too. I feel and feed off your tension, fear, and shock. Although I am young and cannot express verbally what is happening in our lives, I am still feeling the impact. My heart is broken every time I have to give up a parent. My sense of security is lost. Please don't assume that I am resilient. Please don't assume that my life will be exactly as it was, and that I will continue to feel the same love from both of you. I am a human being just like you. My needs are just like yours. I need love, attention, nurturing, stability, consistency, affection, understanding, patience, and mostly to be wanted. When you fight over me or put me in the middle of your argument, you are sending me the message that winning with each other is more important than my life. I am learning from you that it is better to be right than to be loved. You are teaching me that I came from a person who is unlovable and wrong, and that I am somehow wrong too. When you confide your hurt in my heart, you are storing up adult pain and robbing me of my childhood. You are taking away my belief that love is unconditional and replacing it with a message that tells me to become hard and not to love because I will get hurt and not be able to recover. You may not understand this today, and I am so small that you are not thinking about my future, but you are putting me at a greater risk of getting a divorce myself. At times, you are risking my safety to fill a void in your heart. My safety is your job. Without you and your protection, I am unshielded from the world. This will manifest in irrational fears for me, because I will stay in a state of fight or flight for most of my life. Someday, this initial shock will wear off, but how you choose to parent me through this crisis will never wear off. I will either feel your sense of selflessness, support, protection, or I'll have a scar on my heart with a message that reads, "Good things happen to good people. I must be bad." Thoughtfully, the Child of Divorce.
Wow. Was it sad? Why was it sad?
Listening to that, it makes me think about what Isha and EJ might have been going through. I believe like at the time, we were more focused on what we felt we needed to do, not necessarily as much for ourselves, but for our children. And because we weren't together doing it, we felt like we needed to have the children with us as we move forward in life. And selfishly, I realized how impactful it might have been for them, you know, taking them to court, you know, dragging them out of school to sit down and go, you know, deal with the court cases and stuff. But what's it been, like 20 years now?
Exactly 20 years.
Yeah.
This year will be 20 years,
Yeah.
which means that EJ was 6,
7.
7, and Isha was 1, 2.
She's about 3.
You know, I thought so too, but
Yeah.
she's 21.
Okay.
So if it's 20
Right,
years,
right. That's true.
Yeah,
She was about
but
2.
I thought she was 3 as well.
She was about 2.
But yeah, she was about 2 years old. So it made me think about that as well. But the first video that we saw, what I enjoyed about that video was something that I'm reminded by daily, which is when they did have to go between the 2 homes.
Right.
And it was really interesting to watch because at that young age of 2, 3, 4, EJ's 7, 8, 9, because we had joint custody, literally our children lived with both of us the majority, all of their lives. So during our separation, they was with you half the week and then they was with me half the week. But when it was time for them to go to your house, they would like run to you. You know what I'm saying? And when it was time for them to come to my house, they would run to me. And then when they were in court, and were asked, well, who did you want to go live with? They never said, I want this parent over another parent.
Well, they didn't really ask Isha. They really focused on EJ.
Right,
Right.
but I would have thought the same thing, that they couldn't have at Isha, but Isha has memories of being, she has more memories of being questioned than she has of us
Well,
being
she was
together.
questioned by the legal attorney that they assigned to them. But I mean, in court, they asked questions as well.
But during that time, they didn't choose. It was always like, I want to live with both my parents. And again, I think that's a testament to both of us, that whatever we were going through, that how they were affected or weren't affected still didn't, let me say, make them choose or didn't love one parent over another. You know what I mean? Where at times, in situations where before parents begin to get along again, it's kind of like a competition, well, whose home is better or who's parenting better type of things. And we parent differently, but I think that, ultimately they knew that we were both in existence. And that is really what was like, I think key, is that even though they were in 2 different households with 2 different sets of rules, they knew that they still had to adhere or report or adhere and report to 2 parents. And they had a parent that was at home that they couldn't necessarily get over with.
Well, let me ask you, elephant in the room, what happened?
Oh, wow, dun dun dun.
Yeah, bring that
well,
up.
let's take a break and then I'll come back and answer that.
Yeah, please do.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me in ways that I never knew that I could be broken. And I contemplated suicide. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe. Store your gun securely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo.
So yes, elephant in the room.
True.
What happened, in my opinion of what happened, I was a 22-year-old woman who got married. And
You weren't. You were 24.
Well, 22 when I met you, 24 when we got married.
Okay.
And I was a 32-year-old woman who didn't have a village or didn't have a support team of people that was around telling me that the expectations that I was having at that time in a 9-year marriage with 2 small children and running a business, or 3 small children and running a business and working, that the expectations I had were unrealistic.
Okay.
So I think because I didn't have that type of encouragement, I think being on my own at such a young age, at 17, I just didn't have an attitude where I was patient. At that time, to understand that life, especially being young parents and being a young couple, takes time. And I don't know if I didn't give it enough time because, again, we ended right before our 10th year. But at the time, I felt like if I stayed till 10, then that can easily put us at 20. And at that time, I wasn't ready to take that journey.
Well, I think for me, being someone who was raised without a father, being a father was one of the greatest jobs that I had, you know. And then someone who is a creator as well, being an artist, being someone who writes, being someone who's a fashion designer, creativity and creations are something that I enjoy, and I just feel like it's one of the greatest gifts that I have. So once my children were here, that was like the greatest creations that I've ever had. And it was important at that time for me and us, you know, have the mother and father in the home to develop them. And when you felt the way that you did, and you made the decisions you made, then I felt like it was important for me to secure them and myself and make sure that moving forward, I was gonna always be in their life. I didn't necessarily want to take you out of their life, okay? But
Wait, where's my camera?
but
Really?
it was, but it was important for me to always be with them.
Okay. So did you think that I was going to take them out of your life?
In some ways, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
You know, there was, I mean, you have to remember in the beginning, it was like war to roses.
Right, but not because of me.
What do you mean not because of that?
Well, I think that could take us somewhere else. I think again, if we notice that it's 20 years later,
True.
And for the most part, the turmoil was for 4 years, but for the last 16 years, once we got past that turmoil, again, because we did co-parent, we did have joint custody, the children never lived with you more, they never lived with me more. I think that the evidence is where they're at now. The evidence is where we're at now. And that was really what was important to me about having this parenting series. Because I think what happens is that no matter what we were going through, no matter how we were feeling about each other, what was always important was Eric and Isha. That's without a doubt. I can never take that away from you. But I feel like the video said, you know, children want to feel a sense of security. They want to feel like winning is not more important than them. They want to feel that, you know, they don't want to feel like we're robbing them of their...
That was something that I made a mistake doing.
What do you mean?
Just in the sense of wanting to win and be, you know, someone
Thank you for saying that.
Well, being someone who didn't want to take an L in the situation. And, you know, we were kind of unconventional parents because we were artistic. You know, we owned a store. You know, we just flowed. It wasn't anything, you know, regular 9 to 5. We were scrapping, you know, and I think sometimes children learn from the mistakes of their parents, and I believe that they're much stronger from our
100%.
mistakes. And I think that the beauty in, well, the separation wasn't a beautiful thing, but the fact that we did separate, I believe that we were able to establish our own parenting styles that were complementary to the needs of our children.
And I think you can see that in the evidence of them because they're really the both of us. You know, I think sometimes Eric is definitely more you in a sense of, you know, he don't rock the boat.
Well, I think with him, you know, and the example that I give with EJ, because he's so academically inclined, is I always go back to the role that Michael J. Fox played in the TV show Family Matters.
Okay, what you mean?
Well, just in the sense that he was just like always wanting to be, you know, more smarter than everyone else in the room. I mean,
you think Eric was like that?
Listen, this kid was actually getting paid to do other people's homework. In high school. Okay.
And college.
So for him, it wasn't an athletic thing, it was an academic thing.
But he also was an athlete because of you. I think those genetics definitely came on your end. I mean, I was an athlete as well.
But for him, it was always, and I think this has something to do with the background of my family as well. Because, you know, my mother was a college professor, and my grandmother was a teacher, and my great-grandfather was a teacher. So he's following the lines of being an educator just like they were. And I think that he kind of set the blueprint for Isha on how to just be motivated to be successful. Because the thing with Isha in some ways is that she's a type of person, a type of child, she always wanted what she wanted. And even if it was something that I wasn't able to provide for her, she was gonna find a way on her own to get it legally.
That
you
sounds
know?
like Catherine Charlize Warren.
Well,
to me.
maybe she got that from you then. But she's a hustler. And she's
Right.
somebody who really works hard towards getting what she wants. So, I mean, the fact that we got these two children or these two young adults through college
Right.
is like a major accomplishment. And I believe that that experience helped me be better in communicating with you.
Okay.
Because I was able to see the things that they benefited from being with you as well as being with me.
Okay.
And sometimes, when we're trying to win a custody battle or something, we don't take into account the role that the other person plays and how important they are. And I just felt like, as of right now, I had to give you your credit. Definitely.
I will take that credit.
I hear you.
Yes, credit.
There you go.
On that note, let's take a break.
Almost Sade Skincare takes pride in using natural, nurturing skincare products to make New Yorkers glow and love their skin. For the past 30 years, we have tailor-made skincare regimens for people and their unique skin type. Now everyone can enjoy this service for free. All skin types, all ages. Your skin, your match. Simply go to SadeSkincare.com and sign up now for your free consultation.
Hey there, it's Miss KittyRose from The Next Chapter over here at BronxNet. You got a show idea or content to share that can make waves in our community? Ever find yourself stuck on what to do next? How to promote, market, or share your message effectively? Well, I've got fantastic news for you. Join me for an exclusive marketing workshop. Learn how to strategize with current market trends that creates content that truly shines. Head to bronxnet.org, click on the Join Us tab, and then select Education to sign up for my class today. Seats are limited, so don't miss out. I'm here to help you get the most of your digital content. Sign up now. I'll see you there. So, yeah, I definitely feel like, our children are examples of the both of us. They share, both of our personalities. And I think that, again, even though we might have been going through what we were going through, ultimately because we're good people, and I think that stands out, and because our children were priorities, like, I definitely saw that in you. You were ready to be a father when I met you. You embraced fatherhood. That was definitely something that was, like, exciting to you. And when it shifted, I definitely now looking back can understand how, especially having the loss of your father at such a young age, how something traumatic as the end of a marriage that you wanted, that you were ready to have. Like, people don't know this. Well, some people do because you're a lightweight celebrity here in the Bronx. But, you were a fashion designer, and as a fashion designer, you had women all over the place. You was the man in Kennedy. You was the man at Del State. You know what I'm saying? You was the man. And when I met you, we were both in the industry. You were one of few straight heterosexual, men in an industry that is full of women and models all over the place and fashion shows here and there. And there was a love that people had for you, but it was always still kind of like, I'm ready to have a family. And, that's one of the things that people loved about us. It was like this story of this black love, this couple.
Well, how we, just to go back, how we met is kind of crazy because you were running a modeling agency and I hired your models to be in my fashion show, and then one thing led to the.
I came to the show, and then I was in the Black Expo show.
And then you were promoting a party at Nell's.
Yes.
And then you had me on the list, And then, you know,
With
I got
other
on this,
men? No.
Yeah, well, and then, you know, we got to dancing and everything, and then we just stayed inseparable from that.
No, we got to dancing, and then you took it upon yourself to kiss me on the dance floor, and then we was inseparable.
There we go. Then it went
From
there.
there, and then it
Right.
went. But because we were this couple, and both in the industry and Black love, and you know, activists and things of that nature, people really were fond and was drawn to us. So when that ended, I can now, like I said, in hindsight, see how the anger, loss, being afraid, as you just mentioned, that I might, because I went to Brooklyn. And I came back to the Bronx, but I went to Brooklyn. So I could see how you might have thought, oh, she's leaving, she's going to Brooklyn, she's taking my kids, you know, and that can now cause the fight to happen because the intent of the unknown of where parents are.
I went into defense mode.
Yeah.
And I was definitely protective of them, and I felt like I needed to do what I needed to do to protect them because I didn't know what direction you were going in and what, you know, I just knew what I had to do as a father, and I wasn't going to lose them.
And then I think what happened is that because I wasn't going to lose them, we were both like, okay, well, you're not going to lose them, I'm not going to lose them, then what do we do? And
Right.
again, after the fight of the 4 years where we were able to, you know, get our custody agreement to satisfaction for the both of us so that we can continue to co-parent, you know, our children still was going through things. Our
Right.
children were still going, just as that video showed us, our children were still feeling like, well, how can you not like someone that you actually laid down with, had children with, and at one point said you love? So how are you now so negative? So I know for me, I had to shift that. I had to stop being negative. I had to stop talking negative. I had to even stop asking questions and focus on parenting my children and not parenting my husband. You know what I'm saying? Because I think for a long time we also think
goes
that
that
we
word
know.
again.
Yes, there goes that word again. Because we think that we know. Well, I know what's better, or he knows what's better. We in this fight, we're just fighting. So in the fight, you know, we're thinking about the children, or we say we're thinking about the children, but we're really thinking about our own agenda and what we want, and then we say it's for the benefit of the children. So I think that since we had children that, you know, spoke to us because of our own types of relationship that we had individually with them,
Right.
then we got to eventually shift how we were communicating, how we were doing things with them, how we were even feeling about each other. And it no longer became about, I'm angry with her, I'm angry with him. It's now our children that we have to focus on. And then we had our own individual lives.
Right.
You started a new family. You know, I was out there doing whatever it is that I was doing. But being separate now allowed us to co-parent without animosity, if that makes sense.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
It was hard, I mean, because I think I just dug deeper into being a parent and being
Okay.
a father. And I enjoyed the time, you know, and the relationships that I developed from both of them. And I didn't focus, in the beginning I was focused a lot on what you were doing, and then I just stopped. And I
Right.
started focusing on what I needed to do for them
Right.
and focusing on my own stuff. So, you know, the beauty in the situation that developed between us both separating is that look at you now.
Right.
You know, now it led you to this profession. And then the experience that I had was that I needed to create or have a full-time job, and that's when I started working as a juvenile counselor, which is crazy
right.
how this building is right behind me.
Is that crazy?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And then
Full
the book,
circle moment.
The book is basically about
Wow.
the facility that's right behind us.
Locked up
and
and
how
put
I
away.
spent 10 years working there, and the experience that I had working with the young men who were incarcerated.
Wow.
And how I felt like I needed to be somewhat of a father figure for them.
Wow.
And I didn't even know I had that in me to be a writer, but it was something that I had in myself. Designing was something that I put to the side. I wasn't feeling anymore. And ironically, I'm actually going back into it.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working on now too. But the writing was something that was just embedded in me based on my experience working in that facility. So, I mean, I guess the separation helped us create, or we became new people.
And that's the crazy thing about this, because I really think that as the fight led to both of our paths, it's like I would not wish what we went through on
it was
anybody.
crazy. It was-
But it's crazy how because I don't know if you even know this. Remember
me.
when I yelled in court when they were adjourning us again, and then I yelled and the judge gave me anger management?
Yeah.
So when the judge gave me anger management,
Yeah, you were bugging out of court.
no, I wasn't bugging out. You was bugging out.
No,
you called me a bully in court. That sounds like you was bugging out.
You fired your lawyer. You represented yourself.
Because anyway, we only got an hour
It was
show.
bananas.
But when
Okay.
that judge sent me to anger management, they sent me to a place over here in the Bronx called Tailor Made. And that was my intro into activism work, because the woman that was my intake worker was like, oh, you don't need to be a candidate or a applicant here, you need to work here. And that was my first job, helping mediate parents in custody fights. And then because of our custody fight, then you know, I needed to still work as well. I got the job at the Mary J. Blige Center right down the street from the kids' school. So now I'm able to get them from school, bring them to my job. But that led me even further into activism work, and then people knowing that I work in that field.
Right.
And now the Kitty Rose lifestyle was able to merge art and activism into her business, which, now 20 years later, you're an author, talking about your experience right here in the hood, and then now me into broadcasting, journalism, commentating, just, it's interesting how God works. And I don't know if that was God, because again, we went through some shit during our separation, but it made us, I think, better people.
Made us better people, and I think it made us dig deeper into our creative skills as artists. You know, for me, it was definitely something that transformed me, and I led to a level of activism myself, because working in that environment, I saw how toxic it was and chaotic it was for these young men, black and Spanish men, young men were living in this environment and being locked up, that I wanted to fight for them. And I wanted to speak on their behalf about how unfair it is for them to be treated this way. And it was just a bunch of crap that was going on back and forth while I was working in that industry, you know what I mean? So I'm still
now you're
working
working on your second book, right?
I'm working on a second book. It's not about the same topic.
Okay.
As you can see, I have this hoodie on.
Okay, what's that? What you plug in?
It's the 40th anniversary of my football team in high school.
Okay.
We won the New York City and state championship.
40 years ago.
40 years ago, but listen, we were the first.
Amen.
And it never happened before
Okay.
in public school doing it.
Okay.
So we're in the process of doing a documentary on it. And I'm also writing a book about that experience too.
Okay.
So that's what I'm focusing on. It's basically talking about just how, for myself, being someone who grew up without a father, just trying to find my way through life.
Now, please explain to our audience what that means, because you did not grow up without a father because he was a deadbeat, or because he wasn't
my
around,
father,
or
no.
because he was incarcerated.
No.
Please tell the folks why you did not have a father growing after the age of 5.
Okay, well, my father was killed by a drunk driver and made my mother a widow, and me and my brother were raised by my mother.
Yes, Lord.
So, I mean, through that, she did the best that she could in taking us out of University Avenue, moving us up to Riverdale, which put us in the best environment,
Right.
just going to school and attending schools in a safer environment. And we both were college graduates. I mean, my brother is an artist now, a painter, and I'm an author. And basically, the book is about that.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. That's
So,
a beautiful thing.
thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you too. I mean, this setup is incredible. I mean, and who would have thought? I mean, we were like villains. We were like, not villains, but we were like
We still
enemies.
are. I still am. I don't know if you
Oh,
know,
stop
but I'm
playing.
still like Ray Rebel out in these streets.
No, in these streets, but I mean, we're not putting that energy towards each other.
Right.
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So,
well, I think that's another thing about the beauty. Once we stop focusing on being angry with each other and put the focus on the children, even if we did wrong by the children, I think because the focus became them is how we were able to begin our own healing.
Right.
Because again, it wasn't so much, I think we have children that were able to express themselves and express that, they were never going to take sides. They were always going to be supportive of both of us because they felt love from the both of us. It wasn't like they went to one home and didn't feel love or secure in either home. They felt that in both homes, which made them fortunate children, because how many children that are from divorced parents get to live with both their parents, not do summers, not do holidays, not just, but literally get to live their whole life. Eric and Isha never spent, any real time away from either one of us. How now, when it comes to raising them or still working with them as adults, how has that affected you, or how have you shifted in how you communicate? Because now they're not children anymore; they're young adults with their own independent lives, full lives, credit history, credit reports, all of that. W-2s, like we don't claim them anymore in our taxes type life. How have you been? How has that changed, or how have you been affected, and how has that helped you now with your teenage son?
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of weird just because they don't really need me anymore, in the sense that they have their own careers, they're making their own money. I'm extremely proud of both of them. I do miss them. I do miss being around them as much, but they flew out the nest and they left. I still experience the raising of a child, raising, Bryce now, who is 15, and, fortunately enough, he goes to my old high school. He's playing football too, which is a great thing also. But it's something that I generate to a lot, just being around the youthful energy. And that's what keeps me as creative as I am. And, I feel like I have something, the older I get, I might not relate as much to today's kids, but I love their energy, I love their newness, and I love being around my son and spending time with them. I do miss being around Isha and EJ, but they don't need me as much. They have their own personal relationships, they have their own, careers. So grateful that they both graduated from college. And sometimes I feel like, because the two of us weren't structured enough at the time, we didn't prepare them for some type of financial situation going into.
We didn't prepare them, or we didn't prepare?
We didn't prepare.
Because they took care of their education.
No, they took care of it. They took care
so
of it.
we didn't prepare.
But that was the mistake that we made,
Right.
And I think that also it had something to do with how unconventional we are at times, but then at the same time, because we weren't working together, it wasn't something that we could speak on.
Right.
And I feel like that's something that parents who are raising young children need to take into account. They need to really focus on the children, and it becomes a business. The two of you are business partners in the raising of your children, and if you want a successful business, you have to have some level of communication with your business partner.
And seed money in the investment
that works
of
too.
parenting children.
Very true.
Yeah.
And we weren't in communication as much, but fortunately enough, our kids were go-getters.
Right. Because of their parents.
True. And they made it through.
Yes.
And I'm extremely grateful for that.
So we're going to take another break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we have a segment that we end the show called The Jesus Moment. And he was like, what's that? This is a spiritual show. So I always feel like hopefully in this conversation, the Holy Spirit moved us in some kind of way that we can not only help each other progress in this new space of navigating raising adult children, but giving some type of a seed to our audience in where they're at in raising their children, coming from maybe possibly a divorce situation to now raising those adult children as divorced parents. So it's not too scary.
Okay.
Hopefully in the break, the Holy Spirit will come and hit you.
All
All right, let's take a break.
Let's do it.
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that I would never be able to get over it and that my kids wouldn't have a father.
Crippling depression, anxiety, exhaustion.
I was in prison and her mom had a heart attack.
There's a lot of institutional issues and challenges that suggest to us that dads aren't essential, and I've always rejected that.
Sometimes you don't have to know everything about being a dad. You just gotta be there.
The Harlem Arts Alliance was founded in 2001, led by our chairman Boza Rivers, a local, national, and international impresario for the advancement of arts and culture whose experience includes award-winning production of theater, film, music, and live events. At the core, Harlem Arts Alliance has cultivated a dynamic membership-based artists and arts organizations. Harlem Arts Alliance plays an essential role in the lives of emerging and established artists by helping build the resources, networks, and capacity of its richly diverse membership. Our membership includes 400-plus individual artist members and collaborators. At the core, Harlem Arts Alliance has cultivated a dynamic membership-based artists and arts organizations. Harlem Arts Alliance plays an essential role in the lives of emerging and established artists by helping build the resources, networks, and capacity of its richly diverse membership.
Great day, New Yorkers, and communities across this great state. Today, let's talk about something incredibly important for all of us, the Community Media Reinvestment Act. This bill, currently under consideration in the New York State Senate and the New York State Assembly, is vital for the future of community media access centers like BronxNet. But why is it so important? Let me break it down for you. The Community Media Reinvestment Act will secure the future of public educational and governmental community media public services across New York State. These community media networks, like BronxNet, are lifelines for local communities, providing access to essential resources such as local information, workforce training, news and analysis, studio facilities, access to technology, digital literacy, education, multimedia channels, and more. So let's join together and stand strong to advocate for the passage of the Community Media Reinvestment Act. Keep Bronx strong and Empire State strong. Para siempre.
Yes, that's you, Bronx Strong, all day, every day. It's funny, me and EJ have this joke when we're out together and people say, where are you from? And EJ said, can you please stop telling people you from Brooklyn because you've been in the Bronx now 25 years. I say, you're from the Bronx. I'm from Brooklyn, baby. You know what I'm saying? All day, every day. But I chose, every week I choose the PSAs that get played during my show. And I'm a big advocate of dads being in their children's lives, definitely their daughters' lives. And I will say that, again, no matter what we went through or what we go through or what we've been through, you were always someone who was there for their children, and was evident the love that you had for both Eric and Isha, which is beautiful, you know, to be able to witness and to be involved, because I've always felt like, you know, ideally, we want to stay with the people that we first married. Ideally, that's what we all want. None of us get married to get divorced, I don't think. But I think in these times, that's maybe not, I won't say unrealistic, but it becomes difficult. So a lot of times the second families are the ones that last long, or the ones that last longer, or the ones that last. So I feel like it's imperative for the first families to still be family and to still be united, because they're not going anywhere. No matter how many, you know, women or a woman that you're gonna be with after me, or how many men or men's I'm gonna be with after you, you're not going anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. So why have the strife? Why have the discourse, you know? And I guess that's my Jesus moment. My Jesus moment is, I am appreciative that eventually the Holy Spirit came over me the day that said, stop parenting your husband. That's not your job.
That's what you were doing?
Yes. Because I was trying to control what was going on in your house. Just by saying, well, are you making sure the kids are here? Or are they checking on you if the kids are doing this? Or, you know, asking the kids where you know, is your father here? Like, or even my tone sometimes in where I might have spoken to you.
Your tone is
you
crazy.
Know what I'm saying?
Your tone can be crazy. Okay.
Yeah,
and I was not feeling it, and I was dismissing it. So it was definitely, and you probably had some valid points, or you really had some things that were important that I need to pay attention to. But I was
the
doing
way
what
it
I
was
needed.
being given, you couldn't hear it.
Yeah, it was.
And again, you weren't ready, as I wasn't ready in the way that I didn't understand how it was being given to you. And it's funny because I think our children has been our best teachers. I remember Isha telling me, a few years back that I'm harsh in my tone when I speak to people. And because I come from such a loving nature attitude, I don't always hear it and I don't always see it.
That's Brooklyn.
That's Brooklyn, baby.
Yeah, that's Brooklyn.
But it took my daughter, not my sons. It took my last child to bring that to my attention. Even though my sons might have felt the same way, but didn't know quite how to express that to me, where my daughter figured out the words to share that with me or express it so that I can receive and I can hear it, And again, I think that what happens is, like you mentioned, children end up, repeating or doing better from what their experience
No, they learn from the mistakes of sometimes the mistakes of the parents.
And that's what we hope, but a lot of times, statistically, children repeat. So I think because now we're in this space, they have memories of youth, but now they can have memories of this. They can have memories of what it now looks like at 21, at 26, at 30, at 35. Because as you mentioned, they may not need us as much, but they still need us. Your son eventually is going to get married. He's going to come to you and ask you, well, what should he look for? What should he work on as a husband, as a new father? He's going to come to you. Your daughter, she's been blessed to have an amazing boyfriend that we both approve of and we both like. You don't think there's going to be conversations that we have?
And EJ
has an amazing girlfriend. I know. I always take out Deba. They say I'm mean to Deba. But yeah, they both have great partners. But in them having their great partners and parents in their life, because both of them have both sets of their parents, which is also a blessing.
Right.
But they're still going to come to us and, ask us questions on how to be new moms and new dads and new husbands and new wives when they're taking that first loan, the mortgage to buy their first home. Then they may ask us to be on their, co-sign for them. Like, there are still ways that we have to still be effective and show up for them in this adult space. And because we are now getting along and we are now in a place of respect, then they can now come to us in a way that will really begin to take away almost those bad memories of childhood, where they can now see, like, well, things happen. And even though things happen, look at where they are now and look at the product of the results of what they did. They can look at themselves and see, because they didn't get who they are, didn't become out of nowhere. Who they are and who they're becoming came from the guidelines, goals, the foundation, fundamentals that we instilled in them and that we instill in our own life. Don't you think?
Oh, no, I agree. I mean, it was important all the time, I was looking at that last video and it was basically saying, as a father, be there.
Yeah.
And that was like so important to me, like every day, like getting them up for school, and it wasn't anything, sometimes we say as adults, we want to have our own groove and our own little swerve and our own thing that we want to do. But for me, it was important to get my kids through this. Like, that's all I really cared about. I didn't even really care about entertaining myself as much as making sure that they were good. And the blessing is that they're great, you know what I mean? And you had a lot to do with that. My mom was involved, and they're actually very good older siblings to Bryce, even though he comes from, a different mother. They embrace him as their brother, and I love that, which is great. But it was important.
Well, they also have experience because they had, my son, their older brother, their first, that came from a different father, So, and then when you got with your son's mom.
Man, we are so dysfunctional. That's crazy.
But are we?
Listen,
because
man,
is that
all
not
over
life?
The place. Yeah, it's life.
But is it really dysfunctional, or is that the reality of the world?
No, it's the reality of the world, and I think that we always found ways to check the boxes.
Right.
And that was the important thing. And the kids always got fed. They always had clean and new clothes. They always looked fresh when they left the school. They always got lifts to school. They were safe. You know, there was no, you know,
That's why
abuse.
I never took you for child support. Because, you know, I was asked, like, why you don't take him for child support? And I'm like, for what? You know, because he still has his own household there that he still has to take care of bills. As long as they eat and they got clothes and they go to school every day at his crib, then I don't need anything, because guess what? He ain't asking for nothing in my house. And I still got to do all those same things. Get them to school, feed them, buy them clothes, wash their clothes. Everything that he has to do, I have to do.
Correct.
And again, we figured out a way that once we got past the storm and it became about them, then it became about them.
Correct.
You know, it became about them. So in this, did the Spirit move you in any kind of way? What's your Jesus moment? How do you feel about where you are today with these adult children? Not how they are as adult children and how great they are as big siblings, but how does the dad, how does Booker Geez, the author, the dad, the man, feel about where he's at today as a parent?
I feel great. I mean, I'm extremely grateful that they both accomplished something that not a lot of families can say that they've been able to do. They can't, you know, it's difficult for people or kids nowadays to focus on getting their education. I mean, Isha finished college in 3 years. You know, that was amazing, you know, but she was determined. And that's a testament to you and to me as well. Just the fact that when we decide to do something, we finish it.
Yes.
You know, we don't quit. I mean, I'm a college graduate, you know, and
I'm
she
starting
just,
to feel the kind of way about this college thing you keep plugging, because I am not a college graduate.
well, don't take offense to that. I mean,
but
it's
you
just,
keep plugging it like that was the
but
be
that's
all to end all, because
but
they
at the
checked
end
that
of the day,
box off.
But that's an important box to check. I mean,
It is
as in-
important, but if they didn't graduate college, I believe that the two of them would still be very successful people.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's
Without
not
a
get that
doubt.
twisted.
Without a doubt. But I
Okay.
mean, what that says is that as parents, it was something that we stood with them
Value.
for them to
Yes.
accomplish. When
Yes.
you go back, you look at what did you do as parents.
Yes.
They're not just roaming the street. They're not just gambling. They're not just getting high.
Yeah,
They're not doing all that other
But that's
stuff.
not because they went to college.
No,
I don't want
but
that
no,
to be. I don't want that
no,
to be
but
the
at the end of-
message.
but
Okay.
at the end of the day, what did you do? Like, what did you accomplish? And they've accomplished something, which is great.
Right, that's one thing that they
Okay.
have accomplished. Right, so you know.
And then on top of that, you know, EJ has his graduate degree.
His master's,
right, which
yes.
is great. You know, he's eventually going to become a principal at some point,
yes.
at some time. You know, Isha, she's already got her career going.
Already,
which is-
right
which
out
is
of
great.
graduation.
She's about to look for her own place. So, I
Yep.
mean, that's amazing. That's progress.
It is progress,
Right.
but I just don't want the message to be that they're progressing because they went to college. I think what's great about them going to college is that they made a decision to do something and they followed through.
But you
And
know,
I-
but you know, we're going to feel differently on that.
and that's
Yeah,
quite okay.
Because for me, that's something that's important.
And kudos to the college graduation.
No doubt.
You know, and you feeling like that means something, because again, in the home you were raised in, that's a beautiful thing that I'm loving, that my children get to say that they're college graduates and that they came from the Bishop family of college graduates or educators. I'm proud that my children get to put their plaque on the wall in the Bishop house where all of the other college graduate plaques are. Yes. But I don't want it to be made seem like our children would not be progressive if they didn't go to college,
No, I
because they
understand that.
still came from two creative, two go-getters, two determined people. So whatever their decisions would have been, that's my testimony, that whatever decisions that they would have made in life, they would have been successful, because here we have a college graduate who has had different roles that he's been in his career, still to come to this place of success for himself. But then we also have a person who did not graduate college, who
well.
got their high school diploma and has still exceeded and excelled in life. And I think that that's an example that they have gotten from both parents about both decisions that we've both went in. I'm so grateful, though, that they're not parents at 21,
No doubt.
you know, which I was. They're not parents at 26, which is nothing wrong with being a parent, but I am really happy that neither one of them are parents at 21 or 26.
No doubt.
You know, but again, I just, you know, don't want us to leave this platform and give parents or even give children like my oldest son or maybe even Bryce, who may not decide to go to college, that they're
no,
less,
I understand
they're
that.
less than
No, not at
because
all.
they didn't
Not
go
at
to
all. Not
college.
at all.
I'm not going
Not
to
at
have
all.
my son, you know,
Not
feel
at all.
that way.
Not
Okay,
at all.
so
I
I'm
mean,
just
as
making
long
sure.
as long as you can be a law-abiding citizen and you can provide for yourself, and if you have a family, you could do that for your family, then I appreciate that and I respect that.
Amen.
So what would you say to divorced parents in raising children like we just sat here and talked about now? What would you say to them?
Making them the priority and getting out of your way, getting past the anger, getting past the sadness, getting past the disappointment that the marriage didn't work faster, sooner than later, so that when they get to what now is important, which is just the children, then they can begin to flourish in their lives individually because the focus won't be so much on the anger and disappointment and sadness that the marriage didn't work.
True.
You know, because at the end of the day, I'd rather be get along divorced parents than divorced parents that still hated each other.
True.
You
True.
know?
I agree.
You know? I think, do we have time for one more break before we close out, or should we just continue to talk? Well, we got 3 minutes, so plug where people can find you, bruh. You know?
Okay. Basically, this is
yes,
my
plug.
book.
That's your camera.
This is my book, Locked Up and Put Away by Booker Geez. It's my 10-year experience working in that facility, which is crazy how I'm sitting right behind the haunted house that I used to work at, you know, where young men were incarcerated and treated like crap. But my website is lockedupandputaway.com. You could find the books there. The books are available on Amazon.
How much is the book?
Well, the book, this book itself is $14.99.
All right now.
The hard copy is $25.
Okay.
But at the same time, I'm also in the process of writing a second book, so I'm halfway done with that. Hopefully, you possibly invite me back to talk about that once I release it, you know. But
am I in this book?
You are heavily.
A little bit.
If you wanna see how wicked this woman was in chapter 1, you get a lot of that.
Did he say wicked?
No, I'm only playing. No. It was just water roses. We were going through it, but
we were definitely.
we're here now to talk about it, and I'm very proud to call you
your baby mama.
Baby mama. You know what I'm saying? And say how you're doing something positive and you're making a difference.
Amen.
And you're teaching young people to do what you're doing, which is a great thing.
It's so funny because I want everyone to follow you on your social media platforms so that they can not only order the book but stay in touch with the next edition that's coming out. Do you have a title yet, or is it a working title, or
No.
we can't tell anybody
Well,
yet?
I can say it now. The title of the book is Uptown Nights because our team with the Kennedy Knights, so the book is about us.
Okay.
And
like isn't a documentary also connected to that a little bit?
Exactly. We're working on a documentary about that too, so hopefully we can get that done before the year's out.
Okay.
You know, actually, believe it or not, I wrote a script for this book so that I'm shopping as well, and then at the same time.
And who do you have that's possibly playing me?
I don't know, maybe Chloe Bailey or somebody.
Oh, okay.
See? I don't know. But basically, outside of that, I'm also working on, with another gentleman, Mr. Little, we wrote a script about Spofford, which is the detention center, which is like the most notorious detention center in New York City ever. It's been closed since 2011, and basically it would be a drama series which will have episodes and episodic, and it'll be about young men who are incarcerated in this environment. So it looks really good. So things are happening, and the kids are
What's
healthy.
a lot going on. I don't mean to cut you. I'm so sorry.
And then I'm gonna be designing again too.
And he's gonna be designing. So stay in tune to everything that is Booker Geez online, because here at the next chapter, where we discuss shades of gray, as your host, Minister Cat, I'm here to bring you truth. I'm here to bring you vulnerability. I'm here to bring you love. I'm here to bring you revolution. And I need you guys to follow me on all my social media, on all on all podcast platforms. You can catch us on, and every Friday right here at BronxNet. I'm your girl, Minister Cat. Mwah! Peace, everyone.
Love sincerity, so I take the liberty to take them on a journey lyrically through hallways and alleys, dark days I carry, sharp pains and bellies.